Hello and welcome back. This is Sherry with Heart and Soulful in the studio today, and I have a fun little video for you today. It is not going to be a tutorial. It is going to be a recap of the series that I have been working on, and then a preview of the next tutorial. And kind of the reason that I decided to do this was, one, I have been away from it for a week. I took a little road trip with my husband, and so I've been back a couple of days and working on the idea that I had before I left for this next video. So I'm so excited. I have it to a point today where I can really show you what it is. And I just couldn't contain myself. So I thought I'm gonna just do a little fun video, and then the next one will be the tutorial for that project. So if you have been following along on my journey, thank you. I so appreciate the comments that I get and just the positive reinforcement. So it's been really fun. I know I bounce around and I've kind of jump around and as ideas come to me, so it's not in a kind of a particular order. So today when I go through what I've done so far, it's mostly for people who haven't watched this at all, just to kind of give you a idea of the different projects that each video I've broken it down into in this series, and I think I'm on like number 11 or something. So I just thought it would be fun to show all those things because I don't do that in every video, and then like I said, give you a sneak peek as to what I'm working on. The other reason I wanted to do it is because this is a travel journal, and like a lot of travel, this one has taken a huge U-turn. But that's just life, right? So sometimes you are on a trip and you don't know where you're going and you have to backtrack or turn around, you get lost, that kind of thing. So it's so fitting with this journal. So I'm going to take you through, if I can remember what order I kind of did everything, because when I started this, I had no theme, no idea what I was doing really. And so it's been kind of fun and an unfiltered series in that each one I do is kind of, even though I'm not crafting in front of you always, I'm doing them in the order as ideas have come to me. So with that said, I do have a theme now. It didn't start out that way. How I started was I wanted to give myself a challenge to use up some of my recycled book pages from altered books that I had made. So that's all I knew at the beginning. I didn't even know what format I was going to do this journal. It could have been signatures that I put into another book, and that's kind of what I thought I was going to do. But then somebody asked if I would do another stacked envelope junk journal kind of construction. And so I thought, well, since I didn't have an idea for this book page challenge for myself, that I would go ahead and use that format. So the first thing I did was I did a video on just putting this book together. And I just did it with envelopes, a file folder, and blank book, recycled book page. Because like I said, I didn't know, I hadn't figured out a theme yet. The U-turn came in when I had all this attached to my file folder. And then I came up with a theme, and the theme kind of went from one thing to the other. And I decided that my file folder portion of my journal was not going to work for the idea that I had for my back cover. So I decided to just rip it off. And that's why I wanted to go ahead and do this video, because I'll put a link to this one and to the next tutorial in the description of that very first construction video. And I want to do that because if somebody is following along and using this theme and wanting to do the back cover the same that I'm going to do now, then they'll want to catch themselves before they have to rip it off like I did. So I'm going to go through kind of just, like I said, what my thought process was. We'll get rid of this because I have now ripped it off, and I had used Mod Podge, so it wasn't the end of the world, and I had not put my inside piece that fits over this in yet. So it was fine. So we'll get rid of that. I had done this with 6 envelopes, and like I said, I didn't have a theme. So the first thing I did know that I wanted to make it very colorful and kind of a bohemian feel. So I knew I needed to make my own decorative paper since I wasn't allowing myself to use any paper packs. So the first thing I did is I started just taking book page and painting on them and stenciling on them and doodling on them with stencils that I had that were kind of that bohemian, exotic, travel-y kind of feel. And so that's kind of how my theme evolved, just doing these papers. I love doing this. There is a tutorial on how I started going about this, those first few layers. And I will keep doing these because they're so much fun in the evening just to doodle on them, you know, instead of knitting. So I did that one. And then once I kind of had those papers going, I realized that I wanted to do it kind of a travel theme because I've been wanting to do a travel theme journal anyway. And it kind of turned into this exotic thing because I was fortunate enough several years ago to go on to some really exotic places. And so it kind of brought me back to thinking about that. I did a prompt list for myself of different things that involved travel, like a passport or a scrapbook or things like that. So that's kind of helped me. Even though I'm bouncing around, it's more that I'll take one of those items and then see where it might fit in my book. And that's why it's kind of bouncing around. So the very first page, I thought I'm just gonna start at the beginning. And I chose one of my favorite places, which was Cambodia. And I had done a mixed media paper that reminded me of that. And then I just did a typical journal card, nothing, you know, earth shattering. I just needed to get myself going because I kind of felt stuck in the beginning. So I just did a journal card there, and then I did one here. And I thought this was a cute little fun idea. I made my little elephant a pocket, and then I made tickets. These are all out of book page. There is a tutorial on different weights, how to make different heaviness of your cardstock using just book page, how to make them writable, that sort of thing. And then my tickets, I made my tickets. They're not from a pack or anything. And then I put the date of this trip on that, and then I can journal on those. So those were just some ideas in one of the very first videos. Then another thing that I like to do when I travel is I love making puzzles, and I do them on my computer, so you can import your own pictures. And I had intended to actually make puzzles, but at the time that I went on this trip, I didn't have a Cricut maker. You can make puzzles on Cricut. So instead of making them thick like with cereal boxes or things like that, I wanted them to be writable journal cards. So I made them large, enough to write something on. So they're writable on the back, but they are just book page. And then they do make a puzzle of the picture from my trip. So I thought that was a fun thing if you travel and like to take photographs, to take some that you intend to be puzzles. So I actually think I'm gonna make, just as gifts, some thicker ones, you know, that you can give to people and they can actually build them. So, and this is just a little mini CD envelope that I've used some of my book page paper again to decorate that. So that was another idea. There's a video on that. I've tried to label all the videos in the series, what is in the video, so, and you can find it in the description. So then the next thing I thought of was on exotic places trip, they have sometimes weather that's humid and hot, and I'm not a huge fan of that. So I had bought a fan on my trip very early on that I still use, that I just love. So I used some of my mixed media papers and made a fan that's actually usable, and it's writable on the back, so it can be little journaling cards. So that was another fun project. And then when I had cut these pieces, I had these little skinny strips, scraps, and they were pretty too and colorful from my mixed media paper. So I decided I would make, grab this thing here, I would make some beads out of those scraps of paper. And I did some that can be embellishments on books and things, just little tassels. And then I also just did some right onto a pencil. So this is actually, they might slide off, but it's actually kind of part of my pencil. So I thought that was just a fun little thing to write with. And then let's see, I had still more scraps just from, you know, the few things I was making. And so I decided to make a scrapbook out of scraps. So these were all my mixed media scraps. I did a little bit of slow stitching on it, just a little bit. I also, with scraps, when I was doing these beads, I also was making little buckles. And this is using ice resin. So that was just a little, this is not a functional buckle. It could be, but I just did it as a little decorative element. But I did my little leather stitching. So there's a tutorial on making this. The inside is scrapbook paper, but it's actually book page that I made to look like scrapbook pages, the black. And you could actually write on these with either metallic gel pens, which is what I used there. You can get them in gold, silver, and white. And so you can get other colors too, but those are the colors I'll probably write on. And then I had made some little mini, this is my little box of things that I have. So I actually printed out on photo paper some of my photographs for my trips and just did little mini photos. So those will go into my scrapbook. And then let's see, what did I do next? I think then I did a passport next, and it's removable too. And it's designed after a passport. My pages are kind of sticking together in here. But I just kind of looked at my passport to see the design, and so it's writable. I'm planning on making some stamps or using travel stamps from around the world to put in here instead of the stamp from your passport stamp. And then it has little travel quotes all throughout on every page. So I'm hoping to figure out, I'm just kind of learning how to do Adobe Explorer or Adobe Illustrator and using my Cricut more and that kind of thing. So I'm hoping to figure out to make these stickers that I can then give away or whatever. So that's my little passport, and that I had done with my Adobe Illustrator and a fonts package that I'm just kind of learning, like I said. So this is a tutorial also. And then my next idea was I wanted to make leather out of paper. So there's a tutorial just to make the leather because you can use it for all kinds of projects. And then I made a bunch of luggage tags. And I show how I make the buckle and all of that. And this is all just paper. And it has it's a little window one. So I actually have made a few of these. So I'm going to be doing a drawing. I don't know the end date of it. It'll be when this whole series is completed. And then I'll probably give a little time after that. You can enter this drawing by just commenting on any of the videos in this series. And so the prize, and it's gonna depend, I may have more than one, I'm not sure. It's gonna be parts and pieces, like these luggage tags. It could be the quotes, stickers, it could be some beads, some of my mixed media papers, just different elements that I'm gonna have extras of from doing my demos. So I'm gonna do like a little grab bag kind of happy mail, they call it, I think, to whoever the winner is or winners. We'll see how much I have. Okay, so the next idea then was that I needed a place to put my luggage tag, and I didn't really want to put it inside my journal because a luggage tag usually goes on the outside of your luggage. So I decided I wanted to make this journal back look like a carpet bag. Now give me 1 second, I'm gonna see if I can get it into my frame. I know it's kind of big, so I don't know if you can see it, but this is a carpet bag. It's one of my very favorite things that I brought back from my trip from the souk in Morocco. And I just love it. It's one of my favorite things. I use it. It sits in my closet where I can see it, and it's one of my favorite things. So I decided to use the design of that to make my own back book cover that would be based on the design of my carpet bag. Now, mine ended up looking a little bit more like a briefcase because it's a journal, and that's okay. But I haven't attached it to my other part yet. I'm going to do that. I was just letting this glue really dry. but I will be doing the tutorial on making this. So I've attached my little gift, my little luggage tag, and it can come off, and it's one of the little window ones. And when you take this buckle off, you can actually pull out this card. This is just like where you'd write your name and address kind of thing. So I've just finished this today, and I'm just so excited. If I be delicate here, because this is all paper. It's my leather looking, made from paper. And I think if I were to do this over again, and I'll mention it in my tutorial, I may make a little change to these two buckle piece, belt pieces to make them a little bit more durable. That would be my only thing. But it's designed after just like the top of my carpet bag. And then I made this to look like, kind of like the stripes design in my carpet. And I'll go over all this when I do the tutorial. But then I even did like the leather on the sides. I couldn't, make it look like a poofy bag because it's for a journal. And then I think I'm gonna make a leather booklet journal to go inside of this, but it's got little pockets. And so now you can see why I had to take off my other one, because my openings were on the side, and I really wanted expandable sides, depending on how much you want to put in there. And again, it's all paper. You can see the book page inside. So I'm just so excited about sharing this. So now all I need to do is get this attached back to the back of my envelope journal. It'll go like this, my luggage tag, and there you go. So I'm excited. I need to get it going. So I'm going to get this attached, get all my parts and pieces samples made so that I don't have to do all this. It's a little time consuming, so I don't want to craft in front of you on camera. So I'm going to go ahead and get my samples and things ready and do another video very soon. So I hope if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and I'd love to hear all your comments. If you're not subscribing yet, hit subscribe so that you don't miss out on that tutorial. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I think even if you didn't have it part of a stacked envelope journal, just to have this be a journal cover, you could make this wider even to be just a book cover would be a lot of fun. So enjoy the rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.